Hello, and welcome back to the Bitter BM podcast. I'm Felicia, your Bitter BM, and here I speak about all the things that made me bitter, but transformed me into the person I am today. So, what is going on? I know y'all haven't seen me in about 2 weeks, and that is because I have been doing my studying, being the diligent student that I needed to be in order to pass a certificate program that I've been taking for the past year. And I'm just going to tell you guys a little about that and the lesson I learned that I'm going to carry with me thanks to my physics professor. So, I started this channel at the end of last summer, or this summer, I should say, summer 2025. I was just looking to get back on YouTube, and I said, what topic can I really speak on that I have a lot of experience in? And it's being a mother to two children and having them young, the ups and downs of that entire dynamic, and then all my experiences with the people who have come and gone into my life as well. In September of 2024, I went back home to visit my grandmother, and in just speaking to her, I just had this great urge to sort of give her life and her legacy a better story. And I decided that I was going to return to school. For what exactly, I didn't know. I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of working where I was working. I wasn't making as much money. And then when I did the math, it would take me like 8 years of my life in order to get into like a managerial or supervisory position, excuse me. And I said the fastest way for me to actually climb the ladder financially is to go back to school and develop a skill. Now, I'm trying to get into the medical field, so the certificate I was taking was related to health sciences, and I took it as a prerequisite in order to get into the program I'm trying to get into. And with God's grace, everything will work out exactly how it was supposed to, just like my life has for the past 25 years. When I decided to go to school, I literally just sent out the application, paid the application fees, and then waited for a response. I was asked to come and take like admissionary tests or admissions tests. I don't know what admissionary is. Admissions tests at two of the community colleges in my city. One of them I had no history with, and I went to do the math admissions test, and child, I was so confused. Like, I didn't even know what was going on. The second community college I went to, I had a history with, and interestingly enough, they had accepted me over like about 18 years ago into two programs which I ended up flunking out of. They actually kicked me out of the college because I was flunking so bad. But at that time, my life was like very tumultuous. Like, I had two young kids and just too much was going on. So, it wasn't going to happen back then. Based on the grades that I did have for the courses that I did take, they allowed me to come into the program and accepted me as a student. And at the time, I really didn't think anything of it. But now that I'm at the end of completing the program, I'm like, this is such a full circle story, because the same college that I'm graduating from now is the same one that I flunked out of 18 years ago. They decided to give me another chance, and it's paid off. It's been an interesting year. I didn't have the money to go to school, first off. Let's talk about that. I have a good enough paying job, and I was able to pay for school because this college actually has a payment plan. And I chose to go on the payment plan because I didn't have the money up front. And in being on the payment plan, I had to pay $500 a month on top of paying all my regular bills. And I was always at work. So if you can believe, the first semester was really rough for me because I had to make those monthly payments on top of trying to study. I passed everything first semester, but I said, you know what? Second semester, you can do a lot better, which I did. I got higher marks than I did initially, and I'm proud of myself. And I will tell you my favorite subject, surprisingly enough, the subject that brought me to tears at the dinner table while trying to do the homework. My eldest actually laughs at me about this, but physics. I like physics as a subject. Biology, I'm not too big of a fan of because the language is just so It's difficult. I would say it's difficult because I'm not like accustomed to using medical terms and terms that have to do with anatomy and like human physiology and all that type of stuff. But I love physics. I think also because it's related to math. And in high school, I actually have 4 math credits. 2 more than I needed to graduate, which I didn't graduate. I'm a high school dropout. And to think of how far I've come from dropping out of high school to now actually going into a field that I never ever in a million years thought I would have an interest in is mind boggling to me. The fact that I even finished this program in a year is mind boggling. And I want to send this message out to anyone who is raising kids, anyone in your family who's trying to pursue a goal. Persevere. That is the lesson that I will carry with me, that the physics professor actually ingrained in my mind. He always gives a weekly update where he includes a quote from somebody he admires. And a lot of the quotes, like one example of a quote would be like, it doesn't matter how you start, but how you finish. And he would include like other quotes like that at the end of the week. And those quotes were really important to me because it kept me motivated. Because trust and believe, like when you're working and trying to go to school, it's so hard to try to study and take the time out to actually pass all your exams, especially when you don't have any sort of relation or you're not familiar with the subjects you're taking. Like I said, I didn't graduate high school, so the most I took in high school was, I think, up to 10th grade, maybe 11th grade math, and 11th grade English. I was flunking out of high school, and that led to me, on top of like the home life dynamics and other stuff, that led to me dropping out. And it's not like I never had the intention of going back to school. I got my GED when I was 22, I believe. And my GED is what has allowed me to pursue higher education. Initially, like back in the pandemic, I was pursuing social service worker or social services work. And after coming to the realization of the simple fact that I actually needed to work on myself. So I needed to get myself into therapy, and I actually needed to work on my own issues, my own childhood issues, my own trauma. I decided that it was not the career for me. And also a part of it is that I see myself in people too much. So I'm very easy to get emotional about like certain situations. I could be watching something on YouTube and I'll be triggered, and my eyes will get teary. And in being in that profession, I know it's recommended that you actually see a therapist yourself. I said, you know what, I'd rather do something else. And so that is what led me into health sciences. I want to go back to persevering and the simple fact how I'm in disbelief that I actually made it through an entire year of struggling to understand what I was learning, struggling to pass the exam, struggling to pass the test. We had like weekly tests and mini quizzes every single week in the program. Like it's very grueling because it's competitive, And with the grades that I have, I don't know if it's a guarantee that I will get accepted into the programs I'm pursuing. But I think that I have a great chance of getting an opportunity from the other colleges because they see that I did continue, I did pursue, and I did get good enough grades. I'm like a A-B student, which I'm very proud of because in high school, it was F's. It was F's. I don't remember seeing anything. I don't even remember bringing my report card home, to be honest. And, persevering is something that a skill, I would say, that I've developed over the years, just in knowing that, partly knowing that I was always responsible for someone else. But at this point in my life, I don't have much responsibility. Like my kids are adults. I don't have to take care of them as I used to, but I do understand that I have to take care of myself. And in order to accomplish what it is I want to accomplish, to build the life that I always wanted for myself, I'm going to have to persevere and just push through. the physics professor used to always say that all you have to do is show up. And initially, like first semester, like that class was so hard. Like to me, he was just speaking gibberish. I can remember I can remember an assignment that we had. It was worth 10%. And I swear I was doing that assignment to the T. When I got my mark back, all he said was, you need to understand. It was a trigonometry assignment. You need to understand trigonometry if you want to be successful in semester 2. So if you want to be successful in physics 2, you need to be able to understand trigonometry. What did I get? I got 25 out of 75 on that assignment. And after that assignment was the exam. And seeing the mark I got on the assignment, I said, listen, I'm not going to spend no more of my time studying for this exam if I can't even get a 50 on this last assignment. Mind you, the other assignments, I was not doing well. And so I decided not to show up to the exam. And so I failed Physics 1. When I had to retake Physics 1, I did amazing. I did amazing because all the material was somewhat familiar and I put the time in to actually understand what was being taught. And that professor, he's an amazing professor. I have to give him his props to make us a subject like physics so understandable and easy. I think he's amazing, and I will send him an email just to, give him his flowers and to thank him because it actually sparked my interest in the subject. It's enjoyable to me. Now, it doesn't mean I'm trying to be an astrophysicist. No Neil deGrasse Tyson or anything like that, but I do like the subject of physics, and now when I'm watching the videos on YouTube, I can understand what is being spoken about. All I can say is that I'm happy that I made it this far because, like I've been saying, I never thought the goal was never for me to say, oh, I'm going to graduate this certificate program. I just said I'm going to this certificate program and everything else sort of fell in place. Like I didn't have the money, I came up with the money. I worked too much. I overworked myself first semester to the point where second semester I had all the tuition saved up. I didn't have to work second semester, and so I could commit the time I needed to do all the learning and all the problems I needed in order to pass the classes. If all you ever do is show up and do a little bit every day, all of that compounds. And in showing up to class more than I did first semester during the second semester, it absolutely enhanced my learning. I was able to participate more in class, which I loved. It sucks being quiet because you don't know the answer. But even so, like the professors were so supportive. If you didn't get the answer right, you're just going to be like, no, try again. Okay, let me explain because don't none of y'all know what y'all talking about. But I absolutely love learning. I've always loved learning. I value education so much because I am a high school dropout. So, I mean, it would be no surprise that being a high school dropout, I would make sure that my children pursue higher education because I never got the opportunity to. And in so not being able to make those achievements early in my life, I absolutely saw where it affected my income and the outcomes of like work and careers fields that I was able to go into. I was very limited for a very long time. But luckily, I was able to get into where I am now, which pays a pretty good wage. And I can stay in this job if I want to, but I'd rather pursue something else. And like I said, God willing, I will get into the programs I'm trying to get into, but I'll definitely keep y'all posted. If you guys are raising kids, teach your kids how to discipline themselves, how to complete their homework, how to show up to class, with a curious mind, and willing to learn, willing to be open to what they're learning, and most importantly, teach them how to persevere, teach them how to not give up. Yes, things get hard. Yes, things are going to make you cry because you keep failing and failing. But with every single failure, the success is right around the corner. That's all. You got to keep persevering, got to keep showing up. day in and day out, because it all compounds, and the day will come where you actually are able to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. I just wanted to tell you guys what I've been up to for the past 2 weeks, because I've been MIA. I've been pursuing and finishing up on my goals, and it's the end of 2025. I hope that you have been pursuing and are possibly finishing up on any goals that you had for this year. Let's go into 2026 putting our best foot forward and look into all the wonderful things that the future holds. Take care. Ciao.